The colony dome of Vera 7 rattled whenever the desert wind screamed outside. Inside, things weren't much calmer. Life was hard, and survival came down to simple credits. Rent, food, water rations, all counted down by the day. Nira tightened the belt around her threadbare tunic as she stood outside the steel-plated door of Unit 47B. Her claws twitched nervously, tapping against the rent notice crumpled in her fist. 3 months overdue. One more and she and her little brother would be out in the dust, where no one survived long. The door hissed open. A human stood there. Marcus Hale, her landlord. He wasn't old, but his life showed in his weathered face, the lines around his eyes carved by responsibility rather than age. He was tall, with broad shoulders and hands roughened by work. Unlike many humans Nira had met, Marcus was not cruel, but neither was he indulgent. Nira forced a smile, her scaled cheeks aching. Marcus, she held out the notice. I can't pay rent this month either. His brow furrowed. Nira, he sighed. You've said that before. I can't keep the dome running if no one pays their share. Air filters, water reserves, they cost. Her chest tightened. Behind her, she imagined her brother's thin frame, his wide eyes watching as she left to beg. She swallowed. I don't have credits, but I'll do what a man loves most. Marcus's jaw tensed. His eyes hardened, then softened as if he understood her implication. No, he said firmly, shaking his head. She blinked, startled. I didn't take you in so you'd sell yourself, Marcus continued. That's not how humans solve things. But, Nira began. Listen, he interrupted, his voice steady. There are things men love that have nothing to do with that. You want to pay me back? Fold my laundry. Cook a meal. Help me patch air vents. Keep your dignity intact. For the first time in weeks, Nira laughed, a weak, uncertain sound, but real. Fold your laundry, she echoed. Marcus smiled faintly. You'd be surprised how much I hate it. The next day, Nira appeared at his unit carrying a basket of rumpled clothing he'd set outside. She spent hours carefully folding, her claws awkward at first, then steadier with practice. When Marcus returned, he looked genuinely surprised. Perfect, he said, holding up a neatly folded shirt. You're a natural. Her spines flared in embarrassment. It is simple work. Simple, Marcus agreed, but it matters. Days passed, and Nira found herself returning often. At first, only to fold laundry. But soon Marcus asked if she wanted to help cook, and she showed him Zyrrani spice blends that turned bland protein rations into aromatic stews. When an air duct cracked, she crawled through the narrow shafts with her nimble frame, sealing it from within while Marcus held the tools steady outside. It wasn't charity. It wasn't pity. It was partnership. And each time, Marcus logged her work as credit against the rent. One evening, as they sat eating together, her brother asleep in the next room, Nira whispered, Why do you do this? Other landlords would throw us out. Marcus leaned back, his gaze distant. Because once on Earth, my family couldn't pay rent either. Someone gave us time. We survived because of that kindness. Now it's my turn. Her throat tightened. You humans, you are strange. He chuckled. Strange good, I hope. Perhaps, she said softly. Trouble found them sooner than expected. A Dominion inspector arrived one cycle later, demanding to see records. Nira tensed as Marcus calmly handed over the data pads. The inspector's eyes narrowed when he noticed Nira. She hasn't paid rent in months, he sneered. Regulations demand eviction. Both her and her kin. Marcus crossed his arms. She's been working. Folded laundry, cooked meals, repaired ducts. Payment in kind is still payment. "That is not recognized currency," the inspector snapped. "It is in my records," Marcus shot back. "And my dome, my rules. Unless you want to march into the desert and replace every filter she fixed yourself." The inspector's jaw tightened. After a tense pause, he shoved the datapad back and left. Nira turned to Marcus, her spines trembling. "You risked yourself for me." He shrugged. "What kind of man throws out someone who's trying their best?" Her eyes glistened. No Zyrrani she'd ever known would have done the same. Life slowly changed. Nira's brother grew stronger on the meals she prepared with Marcus's supplies. She began trading her cooking with other colonists, exchanging spice bread for ration vouchers. Word spread. Humans, Zyrrani, and others alike began to visit Marcus's dome not just for shelter, but for food that reminded them of home. One evening, as the desert winds howled against the dome, Marcus found her folding laundry in the common room. He sat across from her, watching her hands move with practiced grace. "You know," he said, "you've done more than enough to pay off the rent." Nira paused, folding a shirt with precision. "Then I will stop?" "Not if you want to keep going," Marcus said with a smile. "But you don't owe me anymore." Nira looked at him, her throat thick. "Perhaps I don't do it because I owe you. Perhaps I do it because it feels like living again." He met her gaze. "Then keep living." Months turned into a year. Together, they built more than a settlement. They built a community. Marcus handled the structure and systems, while Nira became its heart, cooking meals that turned neighbors into friends. What had begun with a desperate offer had grown into something stronger. Dignity, hope, and a bond neither had expected. And sometimes, when the laundry pile grew too high, Nira would smile at Marcus and tease, "This is what a man loves most, yes?" He would laugh, shaking his head. "Not quite, but it's up there." Years later, travelers across Vera 7 spoke of the dome where no one went hungry, no one was cast out, and every stranger was welcomed with food and warmth. They told of the human who ran it with stubborn resolve and the Zyrrani woman who had once nearly lost everything but found her life again through the simplest of acts, folding laundry, cooking meals, and giving kindness back where she had received it. Nira never forgot that day at his door. The shame, the fear, the desperate words she had spoken. "I'll do what a man loves most." She had expected to lose herself in humiliation. Instead, Marcus had given her the chance to find herself again. And in the end, she learned the truth. What a man loves most isn't power. It isn't possession. It's building a home where no one is left behind.